Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 50th episode of HSBG Podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins. I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
I'm great, Collins. How are you?
Not great. You're just regular great. That's a shame.
Medium great.
Medium great. Okay, sure. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's the 50th episode, which a little bit surprising. I wasn't expecting to be here, but it's always cool to be like, hey, we actually, these, what are they, hallmarks, milestones? That's the word. Yeah. It's like, we got there. And we'll see what another 50 episode looks like, if that does exist, if that's in the cards. But, pretty cool to get here. A lot of fun there. But we always start with our 50th. No, that's not right. Our weekly overview.
We'll start our 50th with the weekly overview.
That is very true. But generally, I don't remember this week. Oh, right, because of the... Oh, right.
You blocked it out already.
Now it's coming. I forgot this week, but now I remember what this week was about. This week was me complaining. This is like the most complaining I think I've ever done for Hearthstone in a week. So yeah, quite interesting. Basically, the friend meta. A lot of people like some people liked it. Some specific people really enjoyed it. The EU ladder loved it, I would say. Like, just really, really jumped into it. But I personally did not like it. It wasn't a bad meta for me by any stretch of the imagination, but I just didn't want to play in a tournament with that meta. So I really wanted to. I mean, we're going to talk about this. Is going to be a topic, but I really wanted to drill that in. That hey, I'm not happy about this. But yeah, friend patch came through and then got removed, and then we had the post friend patch, which we played a little bit on. So. That's been our weeks, probably. Shady, how about you? You probably have more good things to say about this week than I do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I played one day before the previous podcast, right? And then we talked about it, about how crazy friend was, and that was true, right? I mean, I don't think we walked away from that podcast saying like, oh crap, we oversold it a little bit. It's actually not. No, it was pretty bad in terms of how.
I would like to. I hope that there are people that from Blizzard that do listen to this podcast. I've been told. I haven't said that to you, right? But they do exist, and I hope that some of our arguments kind of went through and like influenced us. This is a good idea, as well as the rest of the community. I feel like there was like a unified stance, at least in the higher.
I don't think we're the.
No. That's what I'm saying. I just want to say we're another force. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. No, and that's cool. That's really cool. That's awesome. I think it was a very clear signal, because I think this one was just over the top, right? You would just routinely have turns that would not end, and like even with the best APM in the world, like you're not going to end the turn because you're just going to keep going, like especially as you got more proficient. That doesn't mean that it wasn't fun. I think a lot of people had a lot of fun with it. Like I kept making the argument that this was just a different game mode, almost, right? We just said, okay, honestly, this was more impactful than Diablo as an event. Or we said, this is the friend of a friend event.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the game is just crazy now. So maybe in the future, when there's not a tournament, you could say, hey, we'll do friend of a friend for a little bit, where you say, okay, game is crazy for a week or two, right? And then after that, we go back to normal.
Yeah, I said in the roundtable, which we'll get to, that this felt like an April Fool's patch. That was my interpretation, where it's like, hey, April Fools are gonna put everyone has access to everybody. That's our little thing for April Fools.
All the crazy buddies.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, sure. And, if that was the case, I'd be like, yeah, but it wasn't implemented as like, oh, we're gonna remove this in a couple of days. It was like, this is the new standard. Like, how it's like, no, not for me.
I mean, they just like try, right, and see, okay, how crazy is it gonna be? It's like, oh, it's that crazy. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you mentioned that EU ladder loved it, and yeah, I think almost every other player I know was just saying like, "Oh yeah, friend, it's really silly, but God, I love the free MMR." It was very dual. It's like this should be wrong, but I love the results. I'm just, but I mean,
I
when you
have an
think about it,
argument for that, though. I do.
sorry,
I have an argument for that. Why EU
a
loves it.
counter argument or an explanation as to
No,
why
an
that is.
explanation. Yeah, not an
Yeah, I
argument.
mean, you can go first if you like.
No. I want to go after.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, my assumption, right? Why a lot of the higher MMR. Well, there's an inflation a little bit now, right?
Right.
Essentially,
Yeah.
EU ladder just moved up 1,000 MMR. It feels like it's like
Yeah.
if this was 12K last week, this is now 13K. And the for me, the explanation is that it's actually really difficult to get the most out of those turns, and the tier 6 gaming, a lot of more, you can't even call them casual players, right? But people just don't play all day. They don't get to do that very often. But if you give a high level player the tools to win a game, a lot of the time they're going to be a lot better at utilizing them and seeing the opportunities to push for the bullshit. Whereas a player that is not as experienced is more likely going to settle. And I think this is something that, well, you helped me identify on day 2 or day 1.5. You said, stop doing anything else, only do this. And that for me, yeah, no, that was good. I needed that because I then saw other people doing other things, and the funny thing is then they complain because they say, I have this reasonable board. It's like, if it's not 6 amalgadons with a Prester, I don't care.
It's
It's a
useless.
shit board. It's garbage. Don't even think about winning a game if it's not like. And the funny thing is, honestly, if you're like really high rolling, 6 amalgadons is garbage.
It's garbage
Why not
too.
3
Yeah.
foe reapers and 2
With
deflectobots
divine
and they all
shield.
have 300? Right? Yeah, they all have 300 damage and resets and macros and everything. So, yeah, I legitimately had a second place with 5 golden amalgadons, all perfect, golden selfless Baron. That was second place
Yeah.
because you needed Prester,
Now,
or I'm not even sure if
the,
Prester was in, but
what
they had like a cleave or they had something, right? So, and I wasn't even salty about it. It was just like, okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't have enough time to set up like a more insane board. I was like, I'm actually a little lazy. I'm only just building 5 amalgadons. It's a little lazy, to be honest. But we knew the meta would end very quickly. So I was like, I'm not going to spend, like, if that meta would have lasted 2 more weeks, I would have said, like, okay, I'm going to invest time to really learn to optimize the bullshit. But for now, it's just like, if I can consistently build a board of 6 or 5 amalgadons, that's fine, right? That's good enough. That's going to win me a lot of games. So yeah, that's my explanation slash.
I went above that and
report.
went into like the secret BS. I think that was the level above where you just run
Yeah.
secret. Like you get the secret buddy, but then
Mhm.
you have the battle. You have golden brand. You get the copy
Yeah.
battle cry. So you copy the 3 procs of the secret buddy.
Copy the battle cry or copy the death rattle?
The death rattle.
The sneed, right? Yeah. So
You
make
sneed
the
that, and then you run both
million secrets.
with a set. Yeah, and then the secrets give you the
Split.
the
And
split. It
Cobra.
give you or
Yeah.
the cobra or the divine shield, right? And if you're
Cobra.
proccing that over and over, even the snakes have won me the game. Where the divine shield goes into a snake, and I'm like, well, that's a real
Yeah, it's kind of like
impactful.
plans from a dong, right?
Yeah.
I get that.
So I think that's where I won some games where I was like, they have no business winning this game. Like, none, 0% business, but I have some secrets. And I beat like full board of Amalgadons with selfless. They have selfless Amalgadon. I'm like, just secrets. Just beat
Yeah,
them.
you get to proc a lot of their shields for free with all
Yeah,
your garbage, and you
essentially,
get
yeah.
the re-shield, and like they ghoul you, that's fine.
Yeah.
You blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. So, yeah, I guess
Eventually, my
lots of
opponents
silliness.
started doing that against me, and I was like, they've learned from me because I've never seen other people do that until like they lose to me. Okay. So my thing why I think EU liked it more than NA is because there's more players in EU. So the discrepancy between like the average player and the high elo player.
Yeah.
Because what I was
That's my
dealing
feeling.
with, I've just fought like the same people over and over. And like they're high rated, they're streamers, right? I'm just fighting, these guys over, and they get really good, right? And since there's not that many people, I just queue into like the same guy, and the same, like we'd be top 2, and then it's him again, and then we're top 2, and it's and then it's them again. And I'm just like, stop being in my lobbies, I need easy games, and they're just like, making it hard, right? So like I'm trying to win, but I can only get top two because they'll high roll, and it's not even like I'll high roll every game, right? There'll be games where I have to low roll and I'll get a bottom. But like since there's more players in the EU, there's discrepancy between the best player and the average player in your lobby is going to be a little bit
Yeah,
wider than in NA.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good explanation. And that's a lot of the time the case where so if you would print more heroes like Ysera at her strongest, where it was just really effective to donkey roll for promo Drake Taragosa, that's the opposite effect, right? Because anyone can do that. That's the complete opposite effect of you say you print friend of a friend and you say, hey, the possibilities are endless. Go knock yourself out. And then you say like, okay. Anyways, like doesn't matter. Yeah,
It does
I think that's
matter.
fair.
Friend of a friend was very impactful. I've learned a lot about life.
I think, and this is I guess a good thing for most players. Everyone got more comfortable playing with Bran.
Which I'm not happy about. I'm really
Yes, I share that
I,
sentiment.
I am very like people have learned how to high roll because of this
Yeah.
pros patch, and it's so annoying because I'm like, they're good. They can utilize these weird situations
They've
now more.
learned.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
learned. Yeah, it's so annoying.
They will value Bran on tier 6 a lot higher now in Murlocs and all that.
Yeah, it's like just
Anyways.
do it a week, do it after the tournament, guys. Like come on, that's how I feel. But yeah. Moving on. Right. We did a new roundtable, so it's been almost 2 months, almost exactly 2 months since the last one. The last one was before Buddies even came out, so we wanted. Well, it was like Wednesday and the patch was on, or it was like Tuesday, the patch was on Wednesday. We didn't really want to play, so I was just like, hey guys, you want to do a roundtable? Also, I get like asked by my chat so often, so I was like, let me just set one up. So we did. We kind of discuss some of the meta, like the buddy meta overall, just like going through each patch. And then we kind of discussed lobby legends, some of the systems, some of the things we're looking for, like for future ones, and what we thought was weird about the tournament structure and whatnot. And then we kind of ended it a little bit with discussing some specific heroes we thought were cool. We kind of talked about heroes throughout, and then just general nonsense at the end. You know how it goes when you have a bunch of people doing it. So yeah, we got that up. It's on Spotify and all the, it's in the podcast directory. I put that in there, and it's also on YouTube. So if you want to take a look at that, it's pretty long. It's like 4 hours. So
Oh, I mean that's a short session for round.
it is, but it's also long. So yeah, I just wanted to toss it in there. That it does exist if you want to take a look at that. But moving on, we've got. Oh right. So it's a week left, right? I remember talking about this a couple.
Oh, good meme. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm saying
a couple. A couple weeks ago, right? Oh, it's like a week left, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm." It's kind of cool. Everyone's pacing. I'm so excited to see, some of the grind. And I went through the week, and I like the week after, I was like, "Oh God, I hate everything." I was like, "This is so stressful, so painful." And I think a lot of people have learned from the last cutoff where I see so much more camping, and I don't blame anyone. Like sometimes I'll hear people say, "Oh, what do you think about people like just not playing on their main?" It's like, have you tried this? have you been through it? If you haven't, then I think it's hard to understand like why put that risk on yourself? Why put that stress when you're already like top five, top four, top five? Why go through the risk, go under, and then have to like play nonstop over the weekend to try to come back? You're not even guaranteed, and it's so much harder too because everyone's trying to play and everyone's trying to win, and you have that pressure on yourself, right? So there's a likelihood to tilt and whatnot. So I don't fault anyone if they're high rated, they feel comfortable, they don't want to play on their main. I say yeah, it's probably the right idea compared to just grinding and then getting unlucky because it's very easy to fluctuate, right? Like it's very easy to lose
yeah.
400, 500 MMR in an hour, right? Like, well, when you
Oh,
lose
less than
MMR,
that.
you lose
Sure.
fast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes fast. Yeah.
Um, kind of interested to see what it's going to look like at the end. Are we going to have the same people, or is it going to be a little bit different? Like, obviously, it's going to be different already. Even the person, Fast Eddie, right? He wasn't in the last qualifiers, right? So it's already different. I don't think it's likely for him to lose to get out, right? But I mean, it depends. Like, he's a grinder. He plays a lot and he fluctuates sometimes. So it is
He
possible.
go fast
Yeah.
one way or the other, right? Like there's Eddie. Oh, there's Eddie now. Okay.
Yes, that's very true. So, but it's likely he should be in there, and he's a new face for the qualifier. So, um, it's very possible to see a lot of different players, but it's also kind of hard to overcome, I guess, some of the other players that want to participate, right? Like, I still see a lot of people from the previous ladder still
Yeah.
in
I
here.
mean, the thing is like they don't stop improving either. That's yeah, it's very normal. I think so. So people might look at these lists and say, "Oh, this is rigged. It's just going to be the same people." I mean, it's not all the same people as you
No.
mentioned, but yeah, I mean, what do you expect, right? If they made it the first time and they continue practicing and they continue grinding and they continue adding points, like it's quite likely that they're going to be able to defend. I think more often than not, if you made it the first time and then you don't make it the second time, people are going to ask, "Oh, what happened? What went wrong?" Instead of, like, yeah, exactly, right. I think it's almost a bit more expected, right? Maybe if you just barely made it in, or you were even one of the people that was at number 17 or number 18 that got in due to an invite
Right.
being,
Right.
handed over, then sure. But I think if you're one of the people that was comfortably qualifying last time, the expectation is there that you're just going to be there again. Because as I mentioned, even though everyone else that didn't make it in is trying to get in, yeah, they're getting better. They're putting in a lot of hours. They're practicing. So are the people that already made it. Right? So, and they, they had an advantage on you last time. So if they don't let up, the likelihood is actually pretty high that they're going to be able to defend it.
Yeah, that is. I really wonder how many new faces we're going to see overall. Like, that is actually interesting. Is it just going to be like 10? Well, I guess 48. Is this going to be like 40 out of 48 are the same from last qualification? That would be like so surprising to me. Or is it going to be like, half in, half out from the
I don't think you're going to
qualification?
do half. I think it's three quarters the same
Three
people.
quarters the same. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. Which kind of shows you how hard it is, right, to get there, right? If you're trying to make it, and it's actually quite hard um, to overcome the other people that are trying to get
To
there and
break
climb.
in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
To
to
break
break
into
in.
the
Yeah,
top. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'm in a good position to talk about it because I'm one of the people knocking on the door, right?
right,
So,
right.
and I think it's important that, like, so for me, my stance is I'll get there when I deserve it. And I don't mean that in any mean way towards myself at all, but it's important not to say like, "Oh, I'm entitled to this and the only reason I'm not getting it is because the ladder is corrupt and there's people holding me back," and all these things. So yeah, I'm obviously I would like to make it. I'm doing my best. I got to rank 17 yesterday, and now I'm 27. So something went wrong today, but I got very close. I got very
Uh,
close. But yeah, I think it's important to remind yourself that a lot of the time, like you'll get it when you deserve it, and even though hypothetically speaking, you could have gotten it on the day if you had just gotten a little bit luckier, if the opponents had just gotten a little bit unluckier, if Bob would have just cooperated a little more. But that's part of the game, right? That's part of the game.
that's how I feel
So
every day. So
yeah,
unlucky. I should have got first and I got second. I can't believe this.
it's yeah, and that's the thing. That's part of this game, and yeah, sure, you can think like that, but I don't think that's a
It's
good
not healthy.
attitude.
No, it's not.
For me, it's just like I'll get there when I get there, and it'll feel really good. And if I don't make it, it's also fine because I'm learning, I'm practicing, and it'll be next time.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not like a one-time thing, right? That would be really sad.
Yeah,
Where
yeah, I think yeah, hopefully this is around for a very long time where it's just you can look forward to it. And I don't think it's going to be every month, right? That's going to be a qualifying period. If it is, great. I don't know,
It could be,
but
right? Like
it could be. If it is,
the
amazing,
prize
right?
pool is 10 times, right? This first one. So
Oh, they're gonna have 10 lobby ledge. Oh wait,
like
can you?
that's what I'm assuming, right? Because
Oh right,
it's
yeah. I'm
50,
not
it's
sure if we've
50
had
for this
official.
one, but
Mm.
so and then
Hey,
yeah,
I'll take 10 out of 12 months for
yeah,
sure.
they've promised
I'll-
half a mil prize pool, and this it's 50,000 for this one in overall. So that just assumes that there's going to be 10 of them, right? If you just do
sure.
the math. So
Well, yeah, that might be somewhat presumptuous, of course,
yeah,
but yeah. Well, we've already seen now that it's been 2 months, right, back to back qualifying
yeah,
periods.
yeah.
So if we have a bit of an off season calculated in that, that would be okay, right? Have like 2 months off season or whatnot for people to chill, and then 10 months of in season where you try to get a good rank.
We're
Oh, for
already
sure.
on month 3 though, right? So there was already a off season if you think about it.
Wait, so February and March have been qualifying periods, yeah?
Yeah, but not in January.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it started
Oh, when? Oh, so
on.
when does the Blizzard year start? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? I have
right.
no
Like
idea.
I feel like it started February now,
Oh, I
right? Because
see.
February was the first. Either way, that's
That's
not
fair. I don't
relevant,
know.
right?
That's true.
Whatever. What do we know, right?
I'm thinking calendar year. What am I
But
talking
it would
about?
be cool. It would be. I think it would be cool, because it's, like then you truly have. I think if you don't make it into Twitch rivals or so, and you never know when the next one's going to be, if there is going to be a next one, that feels really bad because you're like, I missed out, and But if you have a schedule and that it's going to be there at a regular basis, hey, that means I just need to get better. That just means I need to practice more. I need to learn from my mistakes, and then we try again next time.
Yeah, and I mean, all the previous tournaments were a lot of times invitational. They're
Yeah,
not really. So even though like I feel like they had like a good representation of players, it's not the best, right? And you always get like there's some like even the global invitational, right? There's some there's some things I felt not fair, in terms of like representation here. It's like that.
I think just using a competition to select who gets to play in these tournaments, that is just fair, right? I mean,
Error, yeah.
you're being selected based on your merit of how well you're playing, how good you are at climbing. So yeah, I think that's normal. I think the community does appreciate that, even though of course there's going to be some arguments like, oh, I can't sit and practice all day long. It's like, well, you probably wouldn't be good enough, right, to qualify anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And to be fair, like climbing a ladder isn't a 1-to-1 comparison for tournament play, right? You've seen players that, just
Yeah.
meander sometimes on ladder, but then on tournaments they're like, oh, they actually do really well, right? So it's not always like a guarantee, but it's a much better what's it called thing
Representation, indication, something like that. Or
indication. That's a better
yeah.
word. Yeah, it's a much better indication of who is going to perform. So you may as well use that over the alternative, which is like, I just feel like this player is good.
Yeah,
It's just
I guess if you would want to replicate that environment, you would just have a bunch of qualifiers
yeah, like
and you
master
use
tour level
that.
stuff. Yeah,
Yes,
which is a
I
lot
think this
more
is.
work.
I think this is fine. I think
Yeah,
this is close enough. And to be fair, the variant that players are playing all the time is ladder. So I think
yeah,
it's cool to
sure.
see that they say, hey, this person is really good at this thing that I also play. And it's cool to see them, being rewarded and getting to play in these tournaments. And yeah, of course, some people are just really good at these super aggressive, play for first, exploit your opponent's mistakes that they might not necessarily make in these tournaments. And then you can see that might turn around a little bit, where in tournament play, it's a little bit more about, okay, I'm just going to be really solid overall, and I'm going to have
Yeah,
very consistent scoring. And instead of, because if you take, say, a Gallywix, it's going to be a lot more difficult to
Yeah.
crush a lobby with
Yeah.
Gallywix when everyone is optimizing their early game and you take damage here and you take damage there. And in ladder, you get away with that a bit more where somebody levels against you, right? Or
Someone
somebody
dies early, you know.
their triple,
Someone
right? Stuff
dies.
like that. So tournaments are going to be different, but I think that's also cool for the audience to see, right? Or say, oh wow, these boards are crazy, or like I can't believe the
Galaxy
Gallywix.
isn't actually that strong. Like, you know, you come out of
Yeah,
that
when you
tournament.
put them
Like,
in an environment where everybody is just going smork, it's just like aggro, I'm going to make sure that my board is tip top. Yeah, suddenly not having that great of an early game hero power is that's a little bit, and that doesn't mean Gallywix can't win lobbies. Of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
once if Gallywix gets a good early game, then
It's
it
not.
feels
It's
almost
not
unfair,
fair.
right?
Yeah,
Like you get a bunch of tokens and you just roll into like two South Sea captains or whatever, and just like, hey, I'm strong, cool. All right.
it's not that
Anyways,
good.
yeah,
Anyways, yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see what this looks like if a lot of things change, if more people break in, right? It's kind of cool. Like from my experience, you know, I'm up there, but I probably if I camp now, I'd probably be in. If I'm being honest, I don't know. It's not me. I mean, I should like over the weekend. If I'm safe, I'm not gonna play over the weekend. That's the thing I've told myself. But up till then, I'm like, I still kind of like playing on the main. But I, you know, I'm probably fine if I do nothing. But I'm gonna learn. Gonna make sure that I don't want it to be stressful for me. So you know, I've learned from last month, and if doing nothing is the best approach, I'll definitely take it. But yeah, moving on. Friend of a friend's been removed finally. Gosh, I remember we were gonna. I was committing to making a topic for this every week. I only had to do
get a
one
whole
week.
campaign ready.
I did. I really did. I was just gonna be like, hey, so it's been a full week of this nonsense. How can you still say this is okay? Look at the boards, look at the patch, look at how hard people have to play just to get second. It's dumb, you know. What is this? Why is Buddy Cry not implemented? You know, these buddies with Battle Cry are too broken with a brand. This should be changed. Da da da. Kill, you know. But I don't have to do any of that. I'm just like, good job, Blizzard. Like that's.
Yeah, this was really fast. It's super cool.
I'm really happy it was so like and like almost very quick, right? I think this is some of the quickest turnaround time within like something new introduced and like immediately removed, which I'm really happy because it gives me time to practice for the tournament, right? So you know, for most players, like who cares how quickly it is, but for me, it's everything where it's like I actually get to see what the meta is gonna look like and actually get to play and practice for the tournament.
Yeah, and honestly, I think for the people that really enjoyed it, maybe it was taken away in time for it to not become a bore or like oh, everyone else is doing it now. So I think the people that really enjoyed it, they might say, oh, I wish it stayed a little bit longer. But maybe if it had stayed 2 days longer, you would have been like, ugh, it's been enough now. And
I
then, no
I
one would really be enjoying it.
I have no idea because that was day one for me. So
You can't relate, yeah,
like
yeah. But that's
I
different. Your experience was very different because you were just thinking, I gotta practice for my tournament. I gotta practice for my tournament. I gotta practice for my tournament. Right?
yeah,
All
but
games I play right now don't matter. Yeah.
the other thing about me is like I play games in my head, you know, while I'm playing. So it felt like I played like so much more games than I actually played because I'm doing alternate routes of like what I did here, da 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 da, would this been better. So it just for me, it felt like it like 4 days had passed. It felt like I've been playing this meta for like a month, you know, like for me, just because like I played every day and I was just like, oh, this would have been different if I did this, or if I did this play with this line, this would have been better. So it just felt like I was playing so much friend passion. I was just very tired of it. Even though I played the day,
I
I was like,
I
oh my
I can
god.
relate for sure. I played enough to start dreaming about ordering where I was dreaming that I was going to get a Gallywix buddy, but then I needed the brand and blah blah blah. I was actually rolling for a brand in my dream. That's really funny.
Yeah.
So that goes to show like how many games I played with that mentality where even in my dream I couldn't find my brand. It's
I
pretty
had a
funny.
dream today. I don't dream every day. I'm not talking about it, but
Okay.
just I don't remember all my dreams. I don't write them down or anything, but I remember that I had one. Feels good, man. Actually, I remember not being happy about the dream. I was like, I wouldn't say it was like a great dream, but it wasn't the worst dream I've
But we
ever
will
had.
not discuss the contents of said
Yeah,
dream.
we will not discuss it. Fair enough, but overall, happy that they removed it. Happy it was so relatively quick. It wasn't instant, but that's like they have to like do work, change the code, right? So it'd be unreasonable to be like,
No,
okay.
this was fast.
Yeah, it's very, very, very fast. So very happy. Thumbs up here. It now allows us to kind of discuss some of the other changes, right? Because I felt like we didn't really give the last patch a fair shakedown because
yeah, none of it really mattered.
nothing mattered, yeah, except for this. Yeah, so now it's more you really get to
ripple
see
effects now, yeah, for sure.
We will talk about post friend meta, and I think that's where we'll talk more about the specific changes and how it feels now. But it is cool to see them, react so quickly, and I'm just like, I just want to shout it out. Good job, guys. You would not. I feel like you would not be happy to watch a tournament with this, and like I personally, I'm biased, but I don't think it would have been healthy for the first tournament at all. So yeah,
I think you might overestimate what appetite Twitch chat has for
Okay, yeah.
I feel like they'd be fine.
Yeah,
watching
that's true.
high level players roll for brand.
I know, but right? Can you imagine being a caster, all right, and just like, oh yeah, so I see he got the 5. Oh, he's just gonna 6. Okay, he just rolling it down 10 gold. Oh, did he friend of a friend? Oh, he didn't. I guess that's his whole turn. Well, that was the best play. I don't disagree with that.
That was statistically the right move to skip every card. That wasn't brand in front of him.
He's just rolling it down. Okay, he's rolling. Did he see friend? No. Did he see brand? No. Did he see friend? No. Did he see? No. Okay, well, I guess he loses now. Like, this is the best player in your region.
You have to fill the... I'm just thinking you'd have to fill the air and you just have to talk about stuff, and there's only so many times you can mention that they're rolling for friend of a friend and that it's a really good interaction with brand. Yeah. And then you'd be talking about all the buddies they'd be looking for and what could happen. And also you'd see someone running away with the game and no one else, like, how's the friend or the brand. Yeah. The thing is, like, they haven't won yet because someone could hit and do some crazy stuff. But without reconnecting, it's hard to catch up, right? If you have to do everything.
It looks like this guy took all the Amalgadons from the pool. It's going to be really hard for everyone else to catch up because there are literally none left. That's a shame.
He's continuing to print Amalgadons through the use of the buddy, even though all 7 are gone.
All 7 are gone, exactly.
Anyway, whatever. That's not happening. So
glad to see that. Yeah,
not happening.
Moving on, we have the patch. So I want to talk about Friend specifically in its own bracket, but then that wasn't the only change in this hotfix. It was a patch 22.6.1 hotfix, which had a couple of different changes, and I do think we should talk about some of them because I feel like there were pretty impactful changes to be made, even despite the big obvious one being the friend removal. We can go straight into
some more subtle armor changes.
So it's been removed. See the developer comments. You want to read the developer comment or not?
Yeah, sure.
All right, sure. We can read that. We wanted to let you know that friend of a friend, this minion, is being removed from backgrounds as an upcoming hotfix patch currently scheduled for Wednesday. I know from the developers about this change. Friend of a friend led to drastic power spikes when combined with brand. Very true. Drove play patterns requiring an extremely high number of actions per turn. I don't even think robot APM gets you there because of how much more economy you get. Like you can just keep going. It doesn't end, Like friend can give you more stuff, which gives you more gold, which gives you
a robot would probably go longer almost due to knowing what to skip.
Yeah.
So they'd have more ticket as prize bullshit things to do.
And also, if you get ticket as prize and you make it go down to 0, you have
Yeah.
infinite gold, so then you never stop, right? So
Yeah, because then a robot would know what would be the optimal use of time. Like, when would you buy a TAD to replenish your gold? When would you buy a money pirate to replenish your gold while rolling for more friend, etc.,
yeah,
etc. So
yeah. So.
either way, yeah, it was very, very silly. If you did not play at all last week, there were some, yeah, as we mentioned before, 5 Amalgadon boards were the norm. Like, you would routinely see the top three have a bunch of Amalgadons on their
Yeah, it
board.
was really
Was
annoying when
not
I'm
crazy.
like top 4 and I have no Amalgadons and I'm like, I have no chance. Like, how did I even get here? Like and I'm just like, well, and my board's like good normally, but against the competition, it makes no difference what I do with, as long as I know it's not the nuts, right?
Yeah.
While we think there's room in the game for these type of strategies, it's questionable. In this case, it proves too pervasive and game warping for the overall health of the game. Yeah, the issue is that our players are too good. They immediately recognized the problem and abused it. You know, in our playtesting, we didn't have this problem. No one was doing this. But you guys just like make the game about this one card, guys. Like, we add one card and you just play the game around it. Like, come on, guys. There's a ton of other cards you could do. Like, that's kind of how I feel. We know that some players have really.
I feel like that's what happens with Shutterwalk. Right? Come on, play it for the battle cry. Stop making the token triples.
We know that some players have really enjoyed Friend of a Friend. I think Tyler was like the most outspoken. Like, hey, I really love this interaction. You know, he was jumping about that.
Jackie was
Jackie as
tweeting,
well.
please don't nerf this. Please
I
don't
know.
nerf
I
this.
know. Yes, I know.
Kyle's like, I got him on my radar. He's on the
Yeah,
list.
all the
He's
people
on the
that
list.
there's a list, and I've written down everyone who is like, I like Friend of a Friend. You know, they're all in there. You know, you're in there too. Looking forward,
Oh, God.
we
Yeah.
think it's important to continue to push the boundaries of the game, which I do agree with, and explore what we can bring into it. But we also think it's important to try to respond quickly when we've pushed too far. Keep an eye out for exciting updates as we continue to explore and fine-tune backgrounds to make it the best game mode we can be. So basically, Friend of a Friend with Brand was too powerful, basically, which required high APM, and they didn't want to make the game all about high APM because that's basically what happened at the top end of the ladder. Even at the lower end of the ladder, I think it was easier to play Friend because you didn't get punished before you get there, right? Like sometimes if you're doing it high ladder, you can get killed before you get the nuts, but at lower MMRs, you don't take as much damage early, so you could actually get there easier. But you had to be aware that you could do it, right? So that's like me being in a lower MMR lobby. It's easier for me, right? But if you're just like at that level, it's probably not
Yes. It
as.
would probably be very easy to smurf, like easier than normal.
Yeah, that's probably true. So I agree with this. You know, it was it's very true. Way busted if you made the game about it, and that's what the high MMR players are doing because that's how you won. You couldn't win without it. Basically, if you wanted to win the game, you needed that interaction. It was there's one exception. Like it was harder to do with Murlocs out. That's because you didn't have seafood to like cycle
Yeah.
6-drops. So that was the one thing. So in those specific lobbies, you could maybe get away with like playing it once, you know, and like hitting a ticket is, and then that's all you needed to win the lobby. You just get the Von Shield on something, and but in the other lobbies, you need to play as many of them as you can, and hit whatever you need. So yeah, pretty drastic meta game shift because of that card. So that's we talked to death about this. Moving on, several heroes are moving up armor tiers, so these heroes are getting more armor. So Barov, Maleficent, and Nixiar Tavish now in armor tier 2. I kind of talked about this with in the roundtable, but do you have any thoughts about this one in particular?
Sorry, can you the armor changed for
Yeah,
Maleficent?
I can give you the link, I guess.
Yeah, no. I can see it here.
Okay.
Honestly, for the most part, it's just Tess, right? Getting punished,
Oh,
Arana getting
well,
punished.
you're gonna skip and just do because this is all the changes for the patch. You're just gonna like go straight to the big stuff.
Okay, yeah. I mean, do you think anything else really matters, or?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. I
Okay.
think
Yeah,
Barov
you,
getting
you talk
armor
about
is
the ones you
important.
think are impactful.
I was going line by line. I think Barov getting armor is kind of good because I think Barov was still playable even with zero armor, and now you just have a little bit of a safety net, so it's gonna help Barov a bit. Because Barov is
I
a
feel
hero
like
that can
Barov
win.
is like just yeah. I guess Barov's one where I feel like that's not a hero that should probably get armor, just because
Yeah,
he's so nutty when you hit.
yeah. I mean, I play Barov. I look at Barov stats, and it just reminds me of like, they're killing themselves, somehow.
All right. Yeah.
Uh,
Sure. Yeah. No,
so
I've had a lot of like since the patch. I've had a lot of really good Barov games
yeah.
where
So
yeah.
yeah, I don't think it's like abusable, but it's the one where I'm like, ooh, this is interesting, where it has armor.
Yeah,
Um,
for the stats it makes sense because
yeah.
Barov does really poorly on the stats.
Yeah, Maleficent and Ixia Tavish, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care too
Whatever,
much.
yeah.
Brucon, I don't play, but some people really like Brucon, so maybe they're
Good,
happy with more
good for
armor.
them, yeah. You
Yeah,
have some armor.
I don't care. I don't play this hero, so whatever.
Yeah.
Greybow, some people love Greybow. I lost to a Greybow, like I think yesterday. It was like yeah, and I was like, God, Greybow, like how did you beat me? But he had like Buster egg, golden egg, and then like double Khadgar, and I was just like, I
Right.
had like three or four Amalgadons or something. I had probably three, right? It was four is hard. Yeah, I had like three
Gotta be
Amalgadons.
huge, right? Yeah, you just needed infinite stats for that.
Yeah, but he kept like pumping out like 16s, just like stop it. I want to win this lobby, and he killed me. And I was just like, I died early, right? Because he was like, or
Yeah.
or something. So it was very annoying. But yeah, Greybow's a good hero if you have the right minion types in. So they're probably happy. I don't play Greybow too much. It's not really a hero I resonate with.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about the post buddy meta, but I
Yeah,
feel like Greybill doesn't really fit that well in there because I
I
mean,
think he does.
there's a huge divide, right? It's like Murloc, no Murloc. I think if Murlocs are out, people just get so huge that I feel
Okay,
like the
sure.
token.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
if Murlocs are out, yeah,
yeah,
that's
if Murlocs are in and you run into people that are doing some poison builds and stats are being kept in check, then okay, probably. And you can also power level with Greybow. A little bit less so right now with Acolyte on too. I used to really, really love Warrior Curve Greybow and then just get to AKMs, get to Acolytes and
that's
straight to
it. That's all
five
you
and
need. Yeah.
do some cool yeah, basically straight to five. And then just do some cool stuff. But I feel like right now it's a bit harder because you don't really want to warrior curve unless you get some good shops and they
Yeah.
keep coming. But then you go to two and you might not hit. So I don't know. Greybill for me feels a bit off with Acolyte on two right now.
I think Murlocs were out, and I had the Magadons, right? But they weren't like crazy statted because I
Mm.
didn't have. So that was the difference. And it made it viable to kill me.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it, just because, like, well, I guess we can just mix the two topics,
Yeah,
right?
it
A bit,
doesn't matter.
'cause I feel like you need to, if we're gonna evaluate these armor changes, you need to know like how the game is being played right now. And like I mentioned, and you can add up to that if you like, of course. But it feels like there's this huge thing where you check at the start of a lobby, Murloc's in or out.
Mhm.
Huge difference how you're gonna
Yeah,
play. It feels like when Murlocs are in, it's similar to friend meta, where you can go quite aggressive for tavern tiers, huge reward on tier 6. Seafood Chef is in. You can still do Bran. You can quite easily get a board full of Amalgadons. I've done that multiple times today. That still works. If Murlocs are out, it feels like it's a race to something that does bullshit health, whether that is Trickster, which is somewhat likely, but that can also be, hey, I'm a curator and I have Whelp Smuggler, I have Master of Realities, or just anything else that, like I'm a mutinous, like do that too, right? You're mutinous and just make a obscenely large pool of health. That is very hard to beat right now, and Spore or an RNG Amalgadon are pretty much your only sources of poison.
Mm. Yeah, I would say nothing. First of all, nothing feels like friend meta. I mean, that's it's not an accurate comparison to me. But second of all, yeah, the difference between Murlocs in, Murlocs out is probably the most impactful and probably the one you should look at every time, right? Like Before you had to look at everything being in or out. Now I think if you just knew whether Murlocs are in or out, that kind of influences more of your decision and your hero picks more than anything else. So that's true, but big pull of stats is not like super required. You just need a comp that makes sense or a comp that scales. I would say you don't have to go trickster stuff, but if you can just have a comp that, like even old comps, like even just beast stuff, like you can just win with that if the comp is complete, right? You have the Buster comp. You can just win with the regular comps. You don't have to force stats or force health because what happens when you're trying to force like trickster stuff is you'll have like high health, but not the biggest attack. But regular comps will just have both, and you'll just like triple chunk the health thing. So you're not.
Well, you
So
just play like 2 spores at the back, right? That's your damage.
yeah, okay. I don't see that in my lobby, so
Okay, like
that's the
that's what
thing.
I'm
Yeah,
doing. Like
yeah. You do that. I don't see
I
that.
like a very, very low effort. You just have like, I don't know,
Yeah.
a 40 health trickster or whatever. Cool bores that are in. That's easy to do. Golden trickster, Baron, 2 spores in the back.
That's a good point.
You
You played differently and you played better because you add the spores and you focus on that. I don't really see spore end game too much in my lobbies, right?
I think
Maybe
that's
an
right.
NA
Yeah.
thing, right? So
I think that's a premium unit right now, like in the no
I know.
Murloc lobbies, and people are gonna catch on to that soon enough. Where it
Hopefully
makes
not
sense,
soon
right?
enough, you know what I mean? But yeah. After
Sorry,
the tournament is
after the tournament.
that's everything for me right now.
I don't know. It just feels weird. Maybe not weird, but I guess it feels natural for sport to fill that role,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you just take Max out of the game. People are going to really lean into that and say, "Oh, normally I wouldn't have gone for like Golden Urzel and stuff and just make like huge health." But people do that more
Yeah,
often
they
now, and
do that now. Yeah.
you already saw that before. If beasts were out and Murlocs were out, you got a bit of a taste of it then. Those lobbies were pretty silly, whereas like, oh, it's just the Chenvala putting stats on the elementals and I can't
I
catch
love
up.
those.
Or
Those are my games, man. It just
yeah,
kept
you
me
just
AFK
you just
low.
run with them, right? And you don't it's kind of like it's like double Cali, Velp Smuggler, turn your brain off, play all the battle cards. Wee, it is like they can't catch me. And with that attitude, a spore is suddenly premium because I I think yesterday there was this rag with a 130 health Mithrax somewhat early, and I killed him because I had a spore on my board. And it's like,
I saw that
yeah, I
game.
mean, yeah, I think you were there. I think they took fifth
Yeah,
with a like
he didn't
130
deserve
health
to be.
Mithrax,
He didn't
and
deserve
they
to be
don't lose
fifth.
to anything else but a spore. I had a spore, so it's like, okay, you die. Yeah, it was pretty silly. So yeah. Anyways, we're digressing a little bit, but this is me just saying that that's a huge factor if you want to evaluate how good heroes are right now, and that's part of me maybe not liking Greybow as much because like half the time it's just going to be a stat lobby, and Greybow doesn't do that too well.
Yeah. Fair enough. The Kale Thoughts never play Rakar. I don't play anymore, so I don't
Yeah,
care
whatever.
where they put them. Like whatever. Eudora is okay. Master Wind, Reno. These are like playable heroes. I think. Like I think they're better than the ones with 4 to 7 armor. Funny enough, even though they're getting 5 to 8, but uh, not like it doesn't jump out to be being like abusive or crazy. Like I'm like, oh, you draw the armor now. Sure, that's fine. I don't care. Um, moving on, Drextar, Elise, Sindragosa. Drextar, I don't know why. No, I don't see Drextar at all. Like I don't see it, and I don't think the stats are like
I
beneficial.
think it doesn't make sense either to. I mean, I guess you have some attack scaling, but no, yeah, I wouldn't really want to play him.
Yeah.
I think Elise is the interesting one
Yeah, at
there.
least jumps out to me at being like, huh, that's weird. Because even at 0 armor, I'd play
Playable, yeah,
Elise and I'd
for sure.
win, right? Like, so just giving
Mhm.
Elise more armor just seems like very good. It
Yeah,
does. It's definitely a high skill ish hero where you need to know when to keep your buddy, when to toss it, and when to level and stuff. But it's not like the craziest like skill of a hero. Like you get a free 4s, you get free 5s, free 6 maybe. So pretty powerful in
with
my opinion.
with Elise, it really feels like you just need to set yourself up for that 9 gold turn, right? If you make the correct calls, or hopefully get good enough minions to protect your health. So 8 gold with Elise is level to 4 map for 4. That's a good turn, right? You get
Sure.
if your buddy is on time. If your buddy isn't on time, that's awful, right? Of course.
Yeah, I don't always do that, but that's a fair point to make.
It's a somewhat meta thing to do on Elise, right? 8 gold, you're gonna level for 7, and then the 1 gold
You
remaining.
do the meta, you get the meta, placement, man.
well, not in my meta or whatever. So my fear is that the armor might push her into a position where you can very routinely now on 9 gold, which is that tricky turn, you sell tier, you now have 0 gold, but you can sell 2 more things off your board, map for your 5, map for your 4, and that makes up a lot of the time. So if you can manage your economy a little bit, that you have 1 card left over, or you picked up an alley cat or something like that, and the things you're selling are 2 cats, for instance, then all of a sudden you're very easily putting a 4 and a 5 on the board. And the turn after that, you're getting a 1 cost 5 drop map. You're leveling to 6. You're getting a 1 cost 6 drop map, and things get very, very silly at that point. So my only fear is that giving her armor, it might not make it a "can I do this?" but "I am going to do this" kind of playstyle.
Yeah, the one thing about you'd rather be elemental than alley cats, because if you're selling two alley cats, and you have your buddy, you took 15. If half your board is double alley cat buddy,
sure, or you've used alley cat and you have 1 left over, or anything like that, right? It's just some form of economy that you're not down to 4 or 5 units on the turn.
That's fair. But yeah, at least definitely feels like probably doesn't deserve to be armor tier 6. But that's one of the weirder ones, so I'm fine with it. They fixed a lot more armor discrepancies with this hotfix than they added in. So, and even Elise is it's okay. It's not a travesty. It doesn't jump out to me like the Arana test. Oh my god!
I need to play more. Right now, I can't cry OP at all.
I mean, I could say Elise is going to be playable for sure and good probably as well. So feels solid. Illidan, Lich Bazal, Mr. Bigglesworth, Pyramid, Tasman, and Vander. Tasman had 0 armor, guys. I did not understand this one.
That might just have been they just missed it, right? Where it's oh shit, I just threw her in tier 1, but you yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, but
straight into the tier 7.
Straight into tier 7. All of this makes sense. Illidan, Lich Bazal, questionable. I can see Lich Bazal having less armor, but I'm not gonna complain. It just makes her playable and pretty solid.
And I think it's fun, and it's very in theme, right? Yeah. For the hero that punches herself to get the max amount of armor. I don't mind it.
I don't mind it either. Some heroes are moving down. Arana, she had 10 armor, guys.
Oh, Tamsin and Arana just got switched, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Arana's moving down. Deathwing, I think, makes sense. Maiev makes sense. Scavs makes sense. All the thieving, except for Rafam.
And I don't know. I'm not sure if Deathwing is tier 1, 0 armor.
You could argue,
it's not bad.
Deathwing was top 3 hero before.
Well, once again, I'm looking at it through the lens of the meta that is now forming.
And I'm looking at it through the lens of the results.
yeah, of course. When you look at how the heroes have performed in the past, but I don't think that is more relevant than how we think. Well, I mean, you need going off data isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm just as we're predicting, is this a good change or a bad change? In that regard, it's more important, I think, to look at the meta we're about to have, or the meta that we've had for the past 2 days, and then comment based on that. And in that meta, I don't think Deathwing is tier 1. I don't think he's bad at all. It doesn't feel like it's tier 1.
I think he got weaker with the Acolyte nerf for sure, right? Because you lose the protection for your buddy, and that hurts a lot. So he definitely did get weaker. He's probably maybe not tier 1. He could probably have 2 to 5 armor, but 0 armor isn't like a travesty where I'm like, he's unplayable. There's still going to be lobbies where I'm going to see a Deathwing and be like, yeah, I guess so. Like, sure, 0 armor, but still has a bit, still has a reason to be played, right? The biggest buff was just moving his buddy from Tavern Tier 3 to Tavern Tier 2. That's really what made him pop off. So I don't think this is like incredibly weird or anything like that. Maiev as well. I'm a big Maiev fan, so I'm sad to see this change, but I get it. Like, if Maiev pops off, it's not fair.
I think for this meta in particular, she's very good because a lot of the, like in the no Murloc lobby, right, you can go straight into Felbat, straight into Eliza Comp, straight into Caligos, and then just say, okay, I'm just going to start scaling and you guys can't catch me. So I think no armor is fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I'm just, I'm biased and I'm aware of that. Yeah. And then the stealing heroes, I'm also okay with being 0 armor. I think they're oppressive and they're still going to continue to be oppressive, especially since Phelan is guaranteed someone's going to get
meta.
Yeah. So you go into Phelan, here's 4 gold, and one's a 5-drop, and you could get more gold from the procs. It's very, very strong.
I think Tess I might have preferred if she kept her armor and the buddy was a 3-drop again.
Yes, I agree. Like the buddy, you get Tess's buddy too early. Keep the armor, make it a tier 3. I think it's more balanced because Tess is a hero you don't want it to be playable. If Tess is strong, it means the meta is bad.
The canary in the coal mine, yeah. If Tess is wrecking everyone, the meta is not that great.
Yeah.
Although I will say that she's almost never going to do better than the meta we just had, right? There was a Clown Fiesta meta.
Well, don't tempt Blizzard.
Okay, sure. But everyone was like donkey rolling for Brand, so you were almost guaranteed a Brand. You're gonna pick that up from someone, right? And then Phelan was in every lobby, so you're gonna get a Phelan buddy at some point.
You remember when Quillboars were just released? We were like, "Oh, that's pretty good right now." Like,
and then Doomsayer and Frog. Ooh, Tess is great right now. And then Buddy Meta is like, "Oh my god, Tess is insane." I think at some point that was 5 for 6 with Tess. I got 5 first places out of 6 games. It was pretty, and I feel like I messed up the 6th game. I honestly, it was like I should have been 6 out of 6. That's how strong she felt.
Yeah. Okay with her moving down. I could see the nerf to the buddy as well, and give her back to armor. I don't think Tess should be kind of a fringe character. It shouldn't be the this is the best hero.
Go-to,
which is kind of what it is right now. Phelan also losing armor. Once again, I knew this was gonna happen. I was like, why is AFK 0 armor? I don't know. Why is AFK 0 armor and then Phelan gets 9? Like, what the hell is this? So I was like, no, this isn't right. And now, 2 to 5, I can see it. This one's a little bit more justifiable. I still think he's pretty really good, actually. I still think he's really good, yeah. And I was also surprised when they initially put it to, the armor. I was like, you're saying this hero is bad by making it 9 armor. But yeah. Whack Toggle moved down as well. I don't play Whack Toggle. I have no opinions on this, really.
No opinion on this either. Sorry, Whack Toggle mains.
Yeah.
We can't cover you.
And then Shudderwock moving down. Apparently this is a correction. This is what it was initially supposed to be, but I don't know. Shudderwock's still playable to me. It felt slightly oppressive with the armor initially, with 10 armor. But even with 5 to 8, it's basically very similar. And beasts as long as beasts are in, you have that opportunity to spike. And even if they're not, I played a Shudderwock game and I just I did what Blizzard wanted me to do. I got the buddy, and then I tripped and I used the buddy. I had a brand. I was just cycling the stats. So I was like, whatever Blizzard. This is what the Blizzard wanted me to do, and it was okay. I just I felt bad because I feel like I'm being part of that's right, Collins. Do it. Just cycle with our buddy. And I was like, I don't want to do it. Let me put out some nonsense. But no, that just felt like the best thing to do. So I was just like, yeah, buddy, brand, golden buddy. Let me just buy my battle cries. Like it was fine though, but I felt bad about it.
It for me, Shudderwalk has been really consistent. Like you say with Beasts in, where I tried it during the friend meta for the first time. Was like, oh, what if we just stay on 1 at 7 gold instead of double level? And we just get the buddy and we just play minions on tier 1 and force more alley cats in the shop. That works really well if you have only 2 battle cries in, which is quite frequent because now if Murlocs are in, it's a rock pool and a cat. If Quillbore are in, right, it's the Quillbore and the cat. If Pirates are in, now if all of them are in, obviously it's a lot harder to do. But if you have 2 or 3 different ones, it feels somewhat reliable to force more cats in the shop.
What are you doing? You're just like taking all the alley cats?
Yeah, so I stay on tier 1 on 7 gold. I bank. It depends a little bit on when I'm going to get my buddy. So I'll play for tempo the first few turns.
Yeah.
When 6 gold rolls around, I'll probably hold 1 or 2 cards in my hand. 7 gold rolls around. You usually get the buddy. Depends a little bit, right? You may have to go full tempo on the 6 gold turn to still get the buddy. But then on 7 gold, you get the buddy, you play the buddy, you play any cards you've banked, or you buy cards from the shop. And then every time you play a minion, you force a battlecry in the shop. If you're still on tier 1 and there's only 2 different battlecry minions in the game, you can have a 50% chance for an alley cat every time. And the cool part is every time you buy an alley cat and play an alley cat, you might put another alley cat in the shop. So the first time I did it, I think I had a golden tabby in my hand. I had 3 more, right, from the buddies. So I think in total I pulled 4 or 5 drops. Now that's pretty good if the game revolves around Bran and you get a bunch of other things to complement, right? Beasts are in, obviously, so you can get Baby Crush, you can get Mama Bear. Those turns get very, very hectic, and I haven't really refined them yet. But even with unrefined play, it's been okay.
Doing
So
it in
you're
my
getting
head,
them.
and it sounds like, oh man, I have to like.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
APM. It's a lot of Monkasteer, right? Because you first need to manage your tier 1 portion of that game. You need to manage how you're gonna sell your boards, because a lot of the time you just end up with almost nothing on your board. You're gonna have a golden rock pool or a golden swabby or a golden whatnot, right? A byproduct, because you're gonna be like, sure, I guess I'll take that 222. You're gonna have a byproduct of the other cats in your hand, and then you're gonna have the actual Shudderling tokens. Especially when you've played swabbies as well, that's where the math gets really complicated on what to do. But for me, it's been just level every turn after
You're
that.
also playing the Shudderlings.
Well, I'm playing the Shudderlings once I'm on tier 4, and then I'm pulling 5 drops.
And even with the golden alley cats in there, it's still fine.
Yeah, so you don't get the golden alley cats.
Oh, you're selling the main body.
Yeah, you're selling the main body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same as usual.
Oh, but you have the tabby in your hand.
Yeah, and the thing is, because you don't have the Tidehunter in there, it's not blocking any of the other triples. Okay. So theoretically, you could just have 1 Shudderling spawn 6 tabbies.
6 tabbies, yeah.
Now, you don't always do that, right? You need to have a very, very good
You have no
game.
board, right?
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay, honestly. Like, people are not that strong. And you had the 10 armor, right? So it was really good. Now you have the up to 8 armor. I'm still working on it. I'm still refining it, but I'm sure that other people are doing it.
You also have to sell your buddy if you wanted to do that.
Yes, which is totally fine. Trust me, like you get so much shit. Okay. And I think if you're in a good enough position, you have so much gold left over, you just get a couple of 5s and then the rest is 6s or so, right? Because a lot of the time it's also APM, so you're just gonna be like, I guess I'll just,
this is funny.
Next turn I'll do it.
It's kind of funny because this could be like even better than the previous iteration.
Yes.
Which
It's
is
very consistent so
it's
far.
so stupid, right? Like, oh, you've nerfed my hero. Well, I figured out how to break it even better than before. That's so
Well, something that
player
happens in particular, which is how you catch up in tempo, is if it's a Beast
pirate.
Quillbore
Oh,
lobby,
cool work. You
you
get the
have
gems.
so many gems because you probably have a golden geomancer as well.
Mhm.
And you can play the golden geomancer before you play
Yeah.
the shutterlings, and then every shutterling, and then
Also,
it's really a nightmare, honestly. Like, don't do this to yourself unless you really, really want to try the strategy, because you'll have to count hand space. You then need to
oh
use
right,
gems. You
yeah.
can
If
like,
you go
oh,
golden
I need to,
geomancer, won't you?
yeah,
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 it'll
because
block
your
you.
hand gets filled with gems, and then you have the triple and blah blah blah, and you're gonna miss stuff the first time around, almost guaranteed, right? Because like the timer is ticking, you need to allocate gems and all that.
I'd rather just have
So
pirate. Just give me
yeah,
the
with
swabby. Yeah.
Swabby I think is the best one. I think if you have no Quillbore, no Murloc, and it's just Beast Swabby, you can power like crazy, because what
Does the
happens
Murloc
a lot of
matter?
the
Murloc
time,
doesn't matter. There's no battle cry for Murlocs.
Rockpool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay, that's
Rockpool blocks
true.
it.
I
So
forgot.
if you have Beasts, Pirates, no Quillbore, no Rockpool, I think that's Elemental out as well.
Yeah,
So no
okay.
Elemental, no Beast, no Quillbore means, sorry, no Elemental,
Elemental
no
Murloc
Murloc.
Quillbore. Yeah.
Yeah, that means you're just gonna have Pirate and Beast.
Mm.
That means you're gonna have a Golden Swabby, most likely ready to go. So you're gonna load the Golden Swabby into the Shutterling as well, and that's the game where you can just go from 4 to 5 on that turn, and you can pull a few sixes as well. So yeah, that gets crazy, because usually and I know we're spending a lot of time on Shutterstock.
Who
I'm just
cares?
talking
Like,
about it
dude,
because I
this
think
this is all we got. This is like the last topic. So yeah, go
it's
for it.
funny, right? I think it's fun. I think it's fun to do. So because usually the problem you run into when you do it in a non-pirate lobby is you can't go from uh 3 to 4 to 5,
Mhm.
because 5 costs 11. So a lot of the time I end up with so much money on that turn, because you need to tier, but then you're going to sell all the cat tokens, you're going to sell the shutterlings, you're going to sell things off your board to make board space for the
Right.
cat
Right.
tokens, that you end up rolling on 4. So that's the Monka's tier part of it, where you have to say, do all my things, I've got my 5s, I've got a brand, I roll, there's a smugger there, I'm going to put it on a thing, I'm going to nest matron, done. 7 cards left in my hand, like, but then next turn you just tier, and he's like, oh, I had an extra triple here that I didn't play. Yeah. Either way, that is the fun strategy that I've been somewhat consistently been doing with Shutter. But like I said, it's quite demanding. You need to count and think ahead. But I think in time, as it gets refined, that might be the new norm, where people force alley cats in the shop on tier 1 with the buddy, and then pull
Now
fives.
everyone knows Shady. Like if they didn't know before, you've now made
Well,
it.
I don't want to say like, oh, I designed this or whatever. I'm sure
It's
that
not
it's,
that's not the point. But popularizing
yeah,
it is definitely
yeah, that's true. That's true. We do have a platform here. But hey, I mean, I'm not. I don't believe in like holding back information. Like,
I don't know. You know, if you don't
that's
have
what
a
the
tournament
podcast
coming
is
up in a
for,
week,
right?
like,
That's what we're for. We want to, yeah.
I disagree. I think you can hold back. There was actually a discussion in one of the discords about like people not joining it to like share information. And it's like, oh, that's so weird. I can't believe these top players are not like going to join and share information. But I actually think it's perfectly fine. Like
Absolutely.
if you want to compete in Lobby Legends in a tournament, you think you have strategies that other people aren't doing, or you understand more than the general populace or even the tournament players. Like why go and show it, right? Like
Yeah, I
until
mean,
the day of the tournament.
if
I don't.
if you're a competitor, you don't care about teaching the
Yeah,
masses
I
your cool
don't.
trick. But that one guy in your lobby who's like, I know what you're gonna do now because you talked about it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So I just think you know, we're being generous here by showcasing some of our strats. Shady's more generous than me, even though I'm not like stingy or anything. I just know like Shady always
But you
like
can't reconnect in Lobby Legends, so it's
sure.
quite challenging to get all of that done properly, because it's really the gems that bog you down.
Yeah, so don't play it in crowbar lobbies. Play it in pirate lobbies, basically.
Yeah,
That's
if you
what
play
I've
it in,
learned.
well, and then you're also, it's kind of like a Cthulhu-esque thing where you only play it very specifically, because
Yeah,
then all
yeah,
the
that's
other things,
fine. That's fine.
you want the other things to be out as well. Yeah, but
I
if
like
you can,
having like
yeah,
these like hidden gems of like, oh,
yeah, the
in this
snap,
one
like, ooh,
lobby it's good. Like, right here it's good. Like, so that's okay for me. So it's always like a little like pocket pick whenever the
yeah,
game kills
the
it.
shutter pocket pick. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. But yeah, overall, Shadowwalk Armor tier 5. I guess I'm okay with it. I don't know enough to really tell you if this is broken or if it has less or more armor, but yeah, kind of
Yeah, all
interesting.
the games I've played with it, so some of them went really well, and then others just went well. So because usually you'll get, at least 3 5 drops, usually 4 to 5 5 drops. So it was kind of cool.
All right. And then the last topic we've got is just the post friend meta. Just kind of what we've been thinking about without friends in, but no Myexna, no Murloc Tidehunter, that kind of thing. So I was just wondering how you felt. I guess I can go.
Yeah,
But
you go first.
generally, I don't know. I mean, this is generally more my like I like this better because you need to think more, which I don't like thinking, but I also don't like that everyone doesn't have to think. Like that's also a problem. If everyone
I
like
think saying that you didn't have to think in the friend meta is a little
no no
disingenuous,
no
but
no no no. No. I said I don't like. I normally like metas where I don't have to think. But I don't like metas where everyone doesn't have to think, And I guess
sure.
in the friend meta, like I feel that's the case because what's your game plan by turn one, and that's an issue.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of thinking then.
Yeah, sure,
Like,
but like at least for me, like where everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna do this every time, like at some point that becomes like more automatic, right? I'm gonna do this every time. Da, da, da. Over time, everyone's just like, oh yeah, autopilot,
yeah,
because this is what we do every time, and I like it more when it's like, okay, this situation comes up, what do I do? This situation comes up, what do I do? Where it didn't really feel like that. It's like this situation comes up. You have Brandon friend.
you go for the friends. Yeah.
And that's not great for me. I mean, it like the meta wasn't bad for me, but it wasn't
Yeah.
bad for other people, and that's the problem. They were all doing well. At least the people I played
You
against.
felt like you couldn't really put your advantage to
Yeah,
use,
yeah,
where
yeah,
you were
exactly.
good at identifying direction and you were good at figuring out where to go and when to do what. Okay.
Yes, there was a lot of decisions that didn't matter in the last meta, where it's like, oh, what's the point? Like, there's so many turns.
I'll
I'm
just
just
be
like,
rolling for Brent
this is
anyway.
irrelevant. Where none of my turn here makes any difference whether I win or lose. And it just felt so stupid, for me. So I'm glad to be past that, and now it's more where I have to think about, oh, what's my direction? How do I play this? When do I level? Blah blah blah. All this extra questions I have to ask myself where I didn't have to ask myself before. So it's definitely better for me. However, I am feeling the effects of No My Ex now. Definitely the most. Where Murlocs are out, it's hell. All hell breaks
Tricksters.
loose.
Tricksters everywhere.
Yeah, like it's not just tricksters; it's the heroes that pop up now. Where it's like, oh, Rag's just like nuts with
Yeah.
no poison to deal with it. Mutinous has been shining right now, where it's like I just have Divine Shield, 100 health minions. There, especially when you start with like a chroma wing, right? And you eat on the
Yeah.
chroma wing, and you just have like 125
I
buddy.
guess I shouldn't be talking like about how to do that on Mutinous, right? Just in case anyone
Yeah,
wants to play Lobby Legends
be
doesn't know how
quiet.
to play Mutinous.
Wait a week. uh,
All right, next week we talk Mutinous, guys.
yeah, sure. Why not? I mean,
We're not going to spill the Shutterwalk and the Mutinous beans in the same cast.
but it's kind of interesting. I feel like obviously the boards have gotten weaker since Friend, and there's also some cases where like I still see unbeatable boards, right? But that's more due to buddies more than the meta
This is
itself.
more Murlocs in than probably with. When you
Yeah.
say unbeatable boards, you just mean like full dong, or do you mean
No,
some crazy
not
stuff?
nah. Like this Dormu would have fell bat. Like I don't know. I
Yeah, but
just
that's
can't.
poisonable, right? But you mean like
Well,
Murlocs out then?
yeah, Murloc's out. Yeah, what am I gonna
Murlocs
do?
out. Yeah, Murlocs out is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's I'm really not a fan of this. This is what honestly we talked about this for weeks, right? Weeks and weeks and weeks. We said change the reborn max now interaction, but please don't remove max now because right, and as much as people complain a lot of the time, they don't know what they want. Right? They say like max has to go, people riot, right? But it's like, okay, you've got what you wanted. How many times are you gonna enjoy going up and be like, oh, I can't possibly beat this rag because he has a hero power that skill shit and I don't. Yeah, that's gonna
yeah,
be fun.
yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's just like you just know from the start. You just look at your heroes and you say, "Oh, I can't win this game."
Mhm.
That happens, like Murloc's out. You look at your heroes, you're like, "Oh, I can't win." Like most of the time, if demons are in, you'd be like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to bullshit my way through there with a trickster." But if demons are out as well, there's just some heroes that do the scaling thing really well. Like for instance, a curator with Whelp Smuggler, right, or Chenvala with Elementals, or even like Maiev who's able to rush and discover Caligos. But there's just some more like brawly mid game heroes that like, oh, I have like Mukla just feels like like
I played
Murloc's out.
Mukla like earlier
Sorry.
today. I played Mukla earlier today. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like his whole spiel is like so much weaker now, where
Sure.
you just know that people are just gonna have these infinite stats. So you're like, I put banana on minions. Like, oh, that's cool.
I lost to the Nas. That's that was
Yeah, right. You're like, you can't compete with
the
that. The Nas just goes nuts, right?
uh,
Yeah. Either way, whatever. Just pointing out and just agreeing where you said like it's a huge impact that Max Ness out, and you need to be very, very mindful at the start of your game when you see that Murlocs are out. You need to have a game plan. You need to think, okay, how am I going to build very large minions? And if you can't, you need to think about how am I going to scam the people that are going to build very large minions. And a lot of the time, it's for me Spore and Trickster. So I think Spore is in the no Murloc lobbies. It's going to be a very premium unit, and we can already start thinking a little bit ahead, right? Because Spore becomes a premium unit, the people are getting sport, they start deploying ghoul. You need to start thinking ahead. I need to put like either Argus on my spores, or I need to put gems on my spores, hopefully if cool boards are in. But this is going to be some like, I do this, you do that, da, da, da. So I think the meta will be the people that have stats, they're going to mandatory run ghoul, maybe even two ghouls to just ghoul your spores away.
they were
Because if
doing
it's,
that anyways. It's not different.
sorry.
They were doing that anyways.
No, I'm pretty rarely getting ghouled here, because the thing is, if they know that you have the spores, it's a different thing. But if you're playing in a stat lobby, meaning the Murlocs are out, you might say, "Oh, my opponent will be getting spores. Therefore, I will already
Okay.
have a ghoul,
They tie the
even though
first
I have
match and then
no
they
information what you
goal
have."
next turn every time.
Sorry.
They tie the first match, goal next turn every time.
Yeah. But I mean,
That's me.
sometimes you kill them, right? Like for instance,
Okay, sure.
that rag, I killed him, right? Like he didn't know, he didn't see it coming.
Right.
So I think that will be a natural adaptation in the no Murloc lobbies, where you say, okay, the only way I lose here is Spore, or my opponent had a really good game and was able to get multiple perfect Amalgadons, but then again, you don't mind having a ghoul against a couple of perfect Amalgadons anyway. So I think that's going to be a very core unit for people that are just going for the max gold grubber strat, or the max curator minion strat, to just mandatory ghoul the opponents for to get rid of
You
the
remember
spores.
when Ghoul wasn't like that relevant? I remember like where it was like, oh, Ghoul just goes into Beast. I mean, Max and the Max just get their shield anyway, so
Yeah,
what's the point of the Ghoul? I remember we talking about that. Now it's like Ghoul. It's a pretty good card. Like,
got a ghoul spores. Yeah.
It's kind of weird how meta changes change a lot of like unassuming cards. They become a lot better or worse. So
Yeah, and
um,
of course, a little bit of this is just theory crafting, right? That's my assumption that's going to happen in
I've
meta.
also noticed the lack of my excellent beast comps, where I'm like, oh, what does my opponent zap now if it's not my Baron? Oh, it's just like my other key minions. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
true.
still really bad for me.
She was so good at absorbing zap. Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't have that like that poison that doesn't die. 2-8 max. Even if it didn't have
Two,
reborn.
the 2-1 reborn left over on the board. Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been that's something I've noticed with like even even without the reborn, just the lack of having that poison for the zap where they still zap things I need in my board. So it's still kind of annoying. But yeah, nothing to do about that, I guess, right now. And beasts are pretty good at this point with the new edition, so I guess it's not that much of a complaint.
And you just mean you have an easier time reborning everything? Or-
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier to reborn like everything, and there's an extra 5-drop beast that you can synergize with early, so you don't lose.
Sure. So you mean that? I guess we haven't really talked about Baby Crush at all. We don't have to go like super in depth,
Like
but
it used to be like
yeah,
you'd like Mama Croc or Mama or whatever.
yeah.
Now it's like now you add Baby Crush into the three, so you can go Baby Crush Mama or Baby Crush or Baby Crush Croc, and you're still like you win the early game tempo or the early mid game tempo. It's like auto wins.
Do you transition out of Baby Crush most of the time, or do you keep it?
Depends if I triple it. If I triple it, I'm
Yeah,
keeping it. If I don't, it's not. It's like it falls off a little bit, right? Once people like the nice
yeah.
thing about it is it procs divine like bubbles. So like sometimes I have it like second for amalgam, and it'll just like proc the amalgam, and the big stat version will kill the amalgam. And I'm like, but
I, I find that with the reborn on 4, it's so easy to reborn your Baby Crush, and then it gets like to some really big bullshit levels
yeah. I mean, you
where it
reborn
just comes back
everything
and forth again.
nowadays, so it's not fair. Like that's why beasts are better because I don't
Yeah.
I don't think they needed to move the reborn to 4. First of all, like, I don't think that was like really necessary. But they were moving another beast to 5, so they wanted to
Yeah,
replace
yeah.
it. But like
I don't think it's too bad considering how crazy the stats are gonna get. I don't think beasts.
sure.
Yeah, I think beasts can have that
Sure.
because right now the meta hasn't really formed yet. People are still testing the waters. I think as the same thing with any meta, you give it some more time. The general player base gets more of an understanding of what they're aiming for. You're going to see these massive, massive stat boards a lot, more frequently.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So yeah, okay. I mean, but it's still, it's definitely questionable to have it there on 4, in my opinion. But
Sure.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna jump. I'm not gonna, we're not. I'm happy with the friend for friend removal. You've given yourself at least a week of no complaints from me, and then we'll go back to the this is a problem that we usually
Scored,
do.
scored yourself some Collins points. You
Yeah,
got some credit build up now.
there
Yeah.
you go. It doesn't last long though. That's, but
1 week of no complaining about death rattle damage. Yeah.
honestly, that hasn't been the biggest issue right now, just because of like you don't like gas curler isn't the nutty that
That's
nutty
true.
of a unit anymore.
It doesn't happen super often. I feel like it's more Guff, Malagos,
Yeah,
Imbama kind of stuff.
yeah.
That's bullshit, right?
Yeah, the mid game tempo take 15 for and there's nothing you can do about it. That's where the problems are lying right now in terms of it. But hey,
All right.
whatever.
I
And
think we are somewhat here for this topic. I think we've covered
oh,
it
you want to
all.
end it? I've never seen you end the.
I'm happy to continue talking
No,
about
no, no,
stuff.
no,
I just
no,
feel
no, no.
like
I mean,
I am
there's like an end spiel that I usually say. I was like, if you want to do that, that's very cool.
oh
Like,
no, I
no, go
consider
for it.
this
No, I want to see
me,
it. I want to
like
hear it.
giving you the indication that we are good to move towards the end of the
I
podcast.
want to hear you say, "Hey, thank you for joining us," and all that nonsense.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our 50th episode of the HSBG podcast. Thank you so much for listening, guys. If you have any feedback, you can send it to hsbgpodcast@gmail.com. You can find Collins somewhere on the internet. You can find me somewhere. I feel I'm just going in the same spirit as you. Right? The first few weeks, it was very clean. Like Shady is, Shady Bunny Twitter. Like, I actually changed my Twitter. It's Shady Bunny Live. So there you go.
Okay.
Like, I threw it out. 19 more. Yeah, 19 more episodes for the special one.
Feels good.
The internet number. Nice.
All right. And we'll
All right,
see.
guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. See you all next time.
Yes. All right. All right, we're done.